The release is close, I can already smell it. So in the same fashion as for the batters and the slaughter slam, here's the level guide you have been waiting for. We will start off with explaining the general build, the synergies, and the skill rotations. So you know exactly what to do and how the build functions. Then you will also get a practical cheat sheet that shows you in which order you're going to skill your class for maximum efficiency on launch. You can keep this open on a second monitor or on your phone, so it can assist you while you're playing. We then finish this guide with some general level rules and strategies to either play through hardcore, really safe, or speed it really up like a lot on softcore. This chapter then also ends with a cheat sheet to provide maximum help during launch. So let's jump right in. So let's take a look at this rogue build, to be more specific at a twisting blade melee rogue. I highly believe that this is going to be the best build to level up and probably also one of the builds to slay in the endgame. There might be a better one against solo boss fighting like rapid fire, but for now I recommend this for leveling for sure. The build again will be displayed with aspects that you can actually farm in the game, so there's no luck required to make this build work. You're not dependent on legendaries. It will just work all by itself. During the process, you can go with an emerald gem for increased critical damage against vulnerable enemies, which you will be able to keep up. You can get some maximum life for more survivability. This is where the rogue is a little bit lacking, and resistance is also one of the weaknesses of the rogue, so you can take care of the weaknesses right here. If you feel like you don't have enough sustain, you could also go with a crude skull in your weapon to get some life on kill back. But now let's take a look at the skill tree and how all the synergies of the build are working together, what is like the perfect rotation of skills and all this kind of stuff. We will not go over the order yet because there will be a cheat sheet available for the order. So we're just making sure that you understand the build correctly. First, we are having puncture. Important here is that critical strikes will always slow, and we are having the opportunity that we're actually getting a slow here. And the rogue has as a resource energy, which you cannot regenerate with like auto attacks like on other classes, like for example the Fury on the Barb, which means it's similar to the mage that will regenerate over time, and you need some different mechanics to actually solve this issue. So what we are wanting to solve is the rogue is really squishy, so we need some survivability, we need some heal, we need damage reductions, we need some life. And more importantly, the rogue is the most mobile class. So we need to use this to our advantage. So we need to add lots of mobility into the build and lots of movement speed. So even though he is melee, he can really dodge everything nicely. And another thing here on what's great in puncture is that it makes the enemy vulnerable. Vulnerable is one of the best multipliers in the damage bucket. So a build without vulnerable will always deal less damage than one with vulnerable. And we are able to get it already in our basic skill. But we will see later, we also have some other options to apply vulnerable. Then twisting blades is the key ability of our build right here. And what's making this skill so great is actually that we are able to reduce cooldowns of our skills with it of up to 3 seconds. And we can deal double damage. So we are placing the twisting blades, and on the return, it's dealing even more damage. So our positioning is important, but with the movement speed we are able to get in this build, the positioning will also be not really difficult. It will be easy to pull off if you have like the basic mechanics to do so. So this is really good. We are having, like I just said, we can reduce our cooldown. All the 4 other skills we are having in our deck are cooldown based. So yeah, just great value we can get out of twisting blades. Then we said we need to be tanky, so close damage reduction is extremely good because we are melee, we are always close. And we said we need some sustain. So here we are able to heal for 3% of our maximum life when we're critical striking close enemies. And you will see how much potential of critical strike this build will have, because we are able to get a high critical strike rate, basically just by using our skills, and we are not reliant on rolling critical strike on our gear. It's good, but we are not relying on it. And here we can get some of the movement speed. As I've just said, it's really important to position for the returning of our blades and all this kind of stuff, dodging. And now we are coming to the mobility skills. Shadow Step is our option here that we need to be going unstoppable. So in case we are in a dire situation, we need to get out of the sea unstoppable, with Shadow Step is our way to go. We are also having a nice movement speed bonus here. This is also one of our sources how we are getting the critical strike chance, because if we're using this offensively instead of defensively, we are getting critical strike chance against the target. Then we have also the option that it actually stuns. So we can jump in, stun the target, we're getting the critical strike chance, and then annihilate them with the critical chance. Because everything of like our critical strike chance is scaling on so many different things. It's crazy good. Then we are having the concussive, which means we're getting more critical strike chance whenever we're doing a knockdown. This scales perfectly onto our poison trap right here, because if we're going into enhanced poison trap, we are having a knockdown of the enemies, so we can utilize this to full extent. Now the skill, that's probably the reason why the rogue is considered the class with the most mobility. We are having the dash. This is maybe not as long ranged as the teleport, but you can have 2 charges up, and you can also use it for damage. So basically we are able to do more critical strike damage if we're going onto an enemy instead of like using it for a dodge. And we also have the option to daze people, enemies that are slowed. And if you remember at Puncture, here we're having the opportunity to slow enemies. So we're having a combination of Puncture and dash that dazes the enemies and provides us with even more CC in the build. So we're having a stun here, we're having a daze here, we're having a knockdown here. So we are getting our survivability through some reductions, some sustain, good positioning via movement speed, and a lot of CC. Then we're having Weapon Mastery, which is overall a solid skill. So you don't have to like use only daggers for this to be amazing. It doesn't matter what you're using. The value of those points are always worth it. Then next up, we're having Exploit, which means 18% increased damage to healthy and injured enemies. This is important. If it would only be 18% to healthy enemies, that would mean we would only deal 18% on the first 20% health of that a monster has. But it's also including injured enemies, which is 35% on the bottom. So on total, we are dealing 18% more damage at 55% of the health bar of the enemy, which is a decent spec right here. And then we've already said we have different options to make enemies vulnerable. So far we know from the Puncture right here. And so damage against vulnerable enemies is valuable. And if we're looking at the items right now, we are here on the Blade Dancer. We can just buff up our Twisting Blade. It's our core skill, right? Really good. And then our next thing, the Blast Trappers, actually gives us the opportunity with our Poison Trap to make the enemies vulnerable as well. So we're having a second source of applying vulnerable now. Then we said we need a bit more damage reduction and tankiness because we are really squishy. So Dark Shroud is here the way to go, which means we are spawning 5 protective shadows and gain 8% damage reduction per active shadow. So 40% on cast, right? And then, how to say it, we are like, the longer we can keep those alive, those surrounding us, we are gaining movement speed to be able to dodge and all this kind of stuff. So it's overall, yeah, it's pretty solid. And how to say it, like a little oh shit button if you're getting in a situation, maybe your dashes are down at the moment. Then we are having here the Deadly Venom. This is just an unlock skill. We're getting a bit of attack speed. For each enemy we have poisoned. The Poison Trap is an area of effect skill, so we're able to actually poison quite a bunch of enemies. And now we need another damage reduction thing, because like I said, we are squishy, so we have the opportunity that everyone that is being poisoned by the Poison Trap will deal 15% less damage to us, which is pretty decent. Now we're having a bunch of passives here. We said that we are having a bit trouble to get energy back, and the innovation right here can solve this issue for us a bit. So we have a 30% chance on everything we're doing to gain 8 energy back, which now means that what we are like, or the skills that we are doing, even our core skill is now an energy generator. and not only cost us pretty energy. Then we're having again critical strike chance against vulnerable and crowd controlled. So we have multiple options to apply crowd controlled, like endlessly, right? Daze here, stun here, knockdown here. Vulnerable, we have 2 different options. So it's really easy to keep this up going all the time. And then Adrenaline Rush is just an unlock here, and we get 5% increased energy regeneration. It's decent, but not as valuable as Haste, which means we get a ton of movement speed while we are above with a high energy level, which basically means we are in a moving situation where we want to G-regen. But if we are in a fighting situation, we're actually getting attack speed. So this basically gives us, no matter what situation we are currently playing in the game, the perfect step for it. And now let's come to the key passive that makes this build pop off. And this is the momentum, which means cutthroat skills grant a stack of momentum for 8 seconds if they either hit a stunned, dazed, or frozen enemy, or hit an enemy from behind. So we have 4 different options to apply this, and we can use 3 of them really well. And surprisingly, we need 3 stacks of momentum to gain 20% damage reduction, which is huge, more energy generation and movement speed. So basically everything we need for our build to solve the weaknesses that we have. And surprisingly, we have 3 cutthroat skills in this build. So we have the dash, which is a cutthroat. We have the shadow step, which is a cutthroat, and we have the twisting plate. So if played properly, we can stack this up in one go. And we can keep this up running non-stop. Because hitting enemies from behind with twisting plate is fairly easy with the returning plate and stuff like this. And the dash, it's just nuts. And how can we even make this stronger? We have this right here that allows us to be doing a bit more damage based on our available resource, which makes our initial casts of Twisting Blade stronger. And we will pop this off with Inner Sight, which means when we are attacking enemies that have this mark on it, we are getting our sight gauge. And at one point, we have unlimited energy. So I just said, when we are doing the initial cast without the Inner Sight, we are having the damage bonus. But as soon as Inner Sight kicks in, we are getting this damage bonus the whole time. So basically for 4 seconds, we can keep spamming that Twisting Plate at no cost and annihilate the enemy. It's nuts. As promised, here is the cheat sheet, so you know exactly in which order to skill and don't lose any time during the launch. We will not go over it in detail as we have just discussed the build in total. Either pause the video to use it or just follow the link in the description, where you will also find the d4builds.gg link. If you are interested in the full guide collection of all of my Diablo 4 content, I highly recommend using my Twitch Smart Hub that I created for you guys, where the goal is, no matter what question you have about Diablo 4, you will basically see the question here listed, and you can click on it and you will have a video guide for it. And then we are topping this off with level builds, endgame builds for all the classes. So it's basically one place where you can get everything in video form and don't have to read through tons of Wikipedias and all this stuff. This is the service I am providing for you, and I will pump out 1 video a day. So this Smart Hub is going to be growing daily. So this guide will all be around this cheat sheet that I created for you. It will also be available in the video description, so you can keep it open while you're leveling and just have some general guidelines that will help you to progress faster in the game. So first we need to determine what is our actual goal that we want to achieve. And the main goal you should try to achieve to progress fast is getting to world tier, because the benefits of world tier are enormous. You are then able to drop sacred items, you are able to drop unique items, and you can now drop nightmare sigils that will unseal the nightmare dungeons. Nightmare dungeons are then used to drop and upgrade the cleaves for your Paragon board, which is really important. And you have access to Hell Tides, which allow you to specifically farm a gear slot. So basically, if you're looking for a helmet, you can go into the Hell Tide, farm the Hell Tide, and use the charts to open a helmet chest. So the item you're getting out of it will be guaranteed a helmet, and this is perfect to farm for those little pieces that might be missing to fully complete your build after you've reached level 50. And now we need to discuss how do we actually get there and how do we get there the fastest way. And as you may have seen, I have also divided this into hardcore and softcore because I believe that the level strategy from hardcore and softcore are pretty different here. But let's not get too much ahead and let's take a look at this, what I'm saying right here. Do not play tier 2. Why do I say this? Am I scared of the difficulty or whatever? No, it has nothing to do with difficulty or like playstyle. It's just if you want to progress the fastest, you will get more experience in gold per hour in tier 1 than you do in tier 2. Tier 2 has 20% increase in experience and 15% in gold. And this increase is so small that the kill speed you are able to reach in tier 1 outweighs the bonuses from tier 2 by a lot. And like, for example, if you're looking at gold, kill speed means you're getting more drops. You can sell more drops to the vendor. So it's not only about the experience. You will also gain more gold actually if you're playing in T1. Then we need to take care of some general level rules that we should make sure that we are taking a good look at. And this is, for example, upgrade your healing potions every 10 levels at the Alchemist. This is extremely important. They will heal you by so much more. And so we have the material to actually do this all the time. Means we have to collect all the herbs that we see. It's really important. Herbs, you collect all of them. Otherwise, we want to be efficient. So if we're seeing an ore that is not in our direct pathway, we will not go there and collect it. We will just continue walking. You will get more than enough materials, so you don't have to worry about the ores. Then we need to figure out what we are doing with our drops. So a general rule is we want to salvage in the early game and sell for gold later. And the reason why we want to do this is that if we're salvaging early, let's say a rare item, so this is just thing, it would give us 5 materials. If we are level 70 and we're dropping a rare item, it will still give 5 materials. But the higher the item power of a level is, which will be increasing the farther you go, the more gold you can sell it for at the vendor. So the more we are able to salvage early and sell later, the more materials we have once we go into the end game to start our crafting processes. Then also important, maybe some people have skipped on it, EXP potions are available at the Alchemist. So if you want to, you should have them running all the time. And a lot of people were using like resistance potions, and they were checking in the materials, in the stats what element, for example, they were missing in the resistance. And I highly recommend going for ace speed early. It's the best one. You don't need the resistances yet. You really need like high resistances once you're going into the capstone dungeon or world tier 3. So don't miss out on this damage right there. Then something other that's huge is uncover unknown areas from right to left. So that means always go in the right circle if you have the options. This will help you memorize the areas a lot faster. If you're doing it steady, you will be more efficient. And another thing that's really important, if you're playing in a group and everyone knows that you're going from right to left all the time, it is so much easier to stay grouped and you don't have people wandering off. So important rule. Then another one that increases your kill speed a lot is that you never stop to kill small groups of trash. Always gather into elite packs to have the highest effective DPS uptime. I see many people and streamers, like when they have like 6 or 7 mobs on their ass, they already start like killing them, spending time to cast their skills, which they could easily do as well while there's an elite pack there without taking any additional risk. Sometimes it's even better to have more trash at an elite pack so you can heal off them and do all this kind of stuff. Then something important, which I also saw a lot of people doing, they are switching gears whenever they drop something. And then they are not even able to do this while walking. So they drop one gear, they open their inventory, they stand still, they try to figure out if it's better or not, and then decide and then continue the game. This breaks your game flow massively and will drop your progress a ton. So if you're not able to do it while walking, just do it after you complete a dungeon when there is a 30-second timer until the new dungeon opens and stuff like this. Try to use this to your advantage and not waste time. Then something else that's important is you need to unlock your class specialities as soon as the quest pops up. It's different levels for all classes. So for example, on the sorcerer, it's level 15. As soon as you hit level 15, you want to do this quest and get this power up as fast as possible. Then something else that's really important is that you are pathing in an area. Means you want to try to collect all the altars that are available already while you're pathing through this area. There is going to be location guides available, so use them, please. You will save a lot of time by not having to backtrack to these areas. You will get instant stats from the altars right away. And third option why you should always be doing is you will also get renown from collecting this, and renown gives you great goodies like additional potion charges, additional skill points. Like they are really great. And then something probably a lot of people have been sleeping on, that healing wells, even if you pick them up while you are at full health, they can also trigger cursed events similar to shrines or chests. So whenever you see a healing well, even if you're full HP, click on it. It could be an event and you would be missing out on those obols if you don't do it this way. Now let's take a look at the different level strategies. We're having hardcore and softcore, and hardcore is a little different. The reason why we are making a difference here is the monster scaling of your level. So if you are level 15, the monsters are level 15. If you are level 20, the monsters are level 20, and so on. You cannot easily go into like a easier area, go back there, demolish them, and farm your power level up so you can continue. This means in hardcore, it is not wise to go full level speed, level as fast as possible. It's better to have a strategy that allows you to get the least amount of experience while being able to get the highest amount of legendaries per drop rate. And to do so, I highly recommend that you rush through the campaign until you get your mount, because the mount is going to be really important speed-wise to be efficient. But after you get your mount, you have no rush anymore. So that's also why I personally would probably not even use the EXP bonus potions, because this will just make you get more experience while you actually want to get more legendaries to not fall down in this power level sink. And also important, do not do any side quests while you're in hardcore, because they will bring you more experience, but they will rarely give you good rewards that increase your power level. So what you should be doing is you either find a dungeon that you like that has a high density of elites, and you keep repeating this dungeon. This is all after we have rushed through the campaign and got them out. Or you're doing event farming. So you're basically walking from event to event, farming obols and getting your legendaries ready. And this is, of course, not something you want to do all the way until level 50. But you want to do this until your build feels steady. And as soon as the build feels steady and you're feeling comfortable, this is when you will then start to level like you would be in softcore and switch over to this strategy here. And in softcore, your main goal is also rushing the campaign for getting the mount on the way. But while you do this, you will accept all side quests. You can accept a total of 20 side quests. So accept them all. It often happens that the side quests are on the way where you have to go anyways, and this will result in you having to backtrack a lot less. And then you would also go all the dungeons that you pass by. You will also just clear them, because the dungeon clear on the first time will also give you renown, which you then, like we already said, unlocks new great stuff. Once the campaign is completed and you level 50, you will instantly switch to World Tier 2 and complete the capstone dungeon. So, and this is also the reason why we can stay on World Tier 1. There is no reason to go World Tier 2, but we need to complete the capstone dungeon in World Tier 2. So if you're playing hardcore, make sure that your gear is suitable, because the capstone dungeon is more of a, of a gear check than a skill check. And also important to note is that the monsters in the capstone dungeon do not level with your level. So the monsters in the World Tier 2 capstone dungeon are level 50. So if you're feeling uncomfortable as a hardcore player, you can level up higher to get more strength going before you go into the capstone dungeon, or maybe farm more to get a build ready that you feel comfortable with doing. If you're softcore, I would just try to plaster it right away to get it done, because the faster you are in World Tier 3, the better it is. And once you have managed to complete this dungeon, you will be World Tier 3. And you will immediately start looking for Hell Tides to finish missing legendary affixes that you need to complete your build. And once you have a build completed, it doesn't have to be perfect rolls or whatever. I highly recommend starting to farm helmets there, because the Harlequin Crest, an insane unique item, is what you can get from this specific farming method, and it gives +4 ranks to all skills. It has health, damage reduction, like it's the perfect item and fits almost all classes and all builds. So I would personally try to go for this. And while the Hell Tides are on cooldown, so they will be vice versa, 1 hour up, 1 hour down, something like this, you're going for Nightmare Dungeons to farm your cliffs and level them up for your Paragon board to advance even further. And yeah, this is basically it. This is my strategy that I'm going to use on release. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as the cheat sheet for the Diablo 4 server slam. If you have any more questions, just leave a comment down below the video. I will always answer everything in less than 24 hours. Or you can just drop by our Discord server where you will get helped immediately. And another great way to get in touch with us is by joining in our Twitch, where we are now having a unique streaming concept. So I will be playing hardcore only, and you are the one that can actually benefit from it. Because whenever I die, it will trigger a community event, and you can then win great prizes out of the cash shop. So you can win skins, you can win mounts, and even battle passes. So don't forget to subscribe to not miss out. Cheers!